Imagine this. You're running, not from a bill collector, not from a bad date, but from God himself. That was Jonah. Called to preach repentance to the wicked city of Nineveh, he instead booked the first ship to Tarshish, the exact opposite direction. Freedom's siren song was sweet, but some calls, it seems, are inescapable. The ship set sail, and for a brief, blissful moment Jonah might have thought he'd gotten away with it. But the heavens had other plans. A tempest erupted, a furious ballet of wind and wave threatening to swallow the vessel whole. The sailors, hardened men of the sea, cried out to their gods, but their pleas were lost in the roar of the storm. Panic surged through the crew. Superstition gripped them. Someone, they reasoned, had angered the gods. Casting lots, an ancient form of divine lottery, pointed the finger squarely at Jonah. His guilt, like a heavy anchor, dragged him down. He confessed his disobedience, his flight from the Almighty. The sailors, initially hesitant, saw no other choice. To save themselves, they had to sacrifice Jonah to the sea's fury. They pleaded for forgiveness, a chorus of desperate voices against the howling wind, before reluctantly casting him overboard. The moment Jonah hit the water, the storm miraculously ceased. The waves calmed, the wind died down. But for Jonah, a new terror began. He plunged into the cold, dark abyss, the crushing pressure a physical manifestation of his own guilt. Just as he thought all hope was lost, a monstrous shadow loomed from the depths. He was swallowed. Not drowned, not crushed, but swallowed whole by a creature of unimaginable size. Inside the belly of the great fish, time lost all meaning. Darkness reigned, punctuated only by the occasional bioluminescent glow of the fish's stomach. The stench was overwhelming, the silence profound. It was in the belly of the beast, in the depths of despair, that Jonah truly began to pray. Not a casual, perfunctory prayer, but a desperate cry from the heart. He remembered God's mercy, his power, his unwavering love, even for the disobedient. For 3 days and 3 nights, Jonah remained in the belly of the fish. 3 days and 3 nights to contemplate his life, his choices, his relationship with God. Then, at God's command, the great fish swam towards the shore and vomited Jonah onto the dry land. Soaked, smelly, and undoubtedly humbled, Jonah heard the voice of the Lord again. The call remained the same. Go to Nineveh and preach. This time, there was no hesitation, no running, only obedience. He finally understood that true freedom wasn't escaping God, but embracing his purpose. Nineveh was a sprawling metropolis, a center of power and decadence. Jonah walked its streets, a lone figure proclaiming God's impending judgment. He preached with newfound conviction, his voice echoing through the bustling marketplaces and opulent palaces. To Jonah's surprise, the people of Nineveh listened. From the king on his throne to the lowest beggar in the streets, they repented. They fasted. They wore sackcloth. They turned from their wicked ways. A city-wide revival sparked by the reluctant prophet and the grace of God. But Jonah was not happy. He was angry that God had shown mercy to the Ninevites. He felt his prophecy had failed, his reputation tarnished. He sat outside the city sulking, waiting for God to destroy it anyway. God caused a plant to grow up and provide shade for Jonah, but then he sent a worm to destroy it. Jonah was furious at the loss of the plant. God then asked him, You have been concerned about this plant, though you did not tend it or make it grow. Should I not have concern for the great city of Nineveh, in which there are more than 120,000 people who cannot tell their right hand from their left, and also many animals? Jonah's story isn't just about a man swallowed by a fish. It's about a God who pursues the disobedient, offers second chances, and extends mercy even to the most wicked. It's about understanding that God's love encompasses all, and that sometimes the greatest miracles happen not in escaping our calling, but in embracing it, however reluctantly. So the question remains, are we willing to extend the same grace and compassion to others that God so freely gives to us, even when they are our enemies, even when they are undeserving, even when it challenges everything we believe? The answer, perhaps, is the very heart of faith. The great fish didn't just spit Jonah onto the shore. It spat out a man transformed. The darkness, the solitude, the undeniable confrontation with his own disobedience, these forged a new understanding within him. He learned that true faith wasn't about following the path he wanted, but the path God ordained, even if it led him into the belly of the beast. The Ninevites' repentance wasn't just a show, a temporary act to escape God's wrath. It was a genuine turning away from their old lives, a commitment to a new path. They understood, perhaps better than Jonah initially did, that mercy wasn't an excuse for sin, but an opportunity for change. Jonah's bitterness highlights a crucial point. Obedience without understanding is still a form of rebellion. He obeyed, yes, but his heart wasn't in it. He wanted God's justice, not his mercy. He wanted to be right, not to see others saved. This inner conflict reveals the subtle but powerful ways we can resist God even when we appear to be complying. God's patience with Jonah, even in his sulking and resentment, is remarkable. He doesn't abandon him, doesn't condemn him, but gently teaches him through the parable of the plant. He challenges Jonah to see beyond his own limited perspective, to recognize the immense value of every human life, even those deemed unworthy. Jonah's story forces us to confront our own biases and prejudices. Who do we deem unworthy of God's grace? Who do we write off as beyond redemption? Are we willing to extend compassion to those who are different from us, those who have wronged us, those who challenge our beliefs? The answers to these questions reveal the true depth of our faith. Jonah's journey is a testament to the enduring power of second chances. He messed up spectacularly, ran from God, and even resented his mercy. Yet God never gave up on him. He continued to pursue him, to teach him, and to use him for his purposes. This unwavering grace offers hope to us all, reminding us that it's never too late to turn our lives around. The story of Nineveh isn't just about individual repentance. It's about a collective turning towards God. The entire city, from the king to the commoners, recognized their need for change and committed to a new way of life. This collective action highlights the transformative power of unity and shared responsibility. Jonah's self-righteousness serves as a cautionary tale. It reminds us that judging others and clinging to our own sense of moral superiority can blind us to God's grace and prevent us from experiencing true joy. Humility, on the other hand, opens our hearts to compassion and allows us to see the world through God's eyes. God's final question to Jonah reveals the heart of his concern. not just for the people of Nineveh, but also for their animals. This highlights the breadth of God's compassion extending to all of creation. It challenges us to consider our own responsibility to care for the environment and all living creatures. Jonah's story challenges us to embrace the uncomfortable callings in our own lives, the tasks that seem too difficult, the people we don't want to associate with, the messages we're afraid to deliver. These are often the very things God is calling us to do. True obedience requires stepping outside our comfort zone and trusting that God will equip us for the task. The fish, often viewed as a symbol of imprisonment, becomes in Jonah's story a crucible of transformation. It's within the darkness and confinement that Jonah confronts his own flaws and rediscovers his faith. Sometimes it's in our darkest moments that we find our truest selves. We often focus on the miraculous, the storm ceasing, the fish appearing, the city repenting. But what about the mundane aftermath? Jonah still had to walk the streets, deliver the message, and confront his own bitterness. Faith isn't just about experiencing miracles. It's about living faithfully in the ordinary moments that follow. Jonah's story is not a closed book. It's an ongoing dialogue with God, a continuous process of learning, growing, and wrestling with our own imperfections. The questions God poses to Jonah are questions he poses to us all, inviting us to deepen our understanding of his love and his will. Ultimately, the story of Jonah is more than just a fish tale. It's a universal human story. It's about running from our responsibilities, confronting our fears, embracing forgiveness, and discovering the transformative power of God's love. It's a story that resonates with us all, regardless of our background or beliefs. The tale of Jonah compels us to consider: if a reluctant prophet swallowed by a fish could bring a whole city to repentance, imagine what we could accomplish if we dared to embrace radical compassion and unwavering obedience, offering grace even to those we deem least deserving. Perhaps then we too can witness miracles beyond our wildest imaginings.